On this episode, we're flipping the script on our Journey into Imagination series because this time, we're the guest. And this is part 1. Today is November 8th, 2024, and this is episode 718 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys! Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic, and on TikTok at MSM Podcast.
If you want to be part of the community and join the conversation, in addition to live streams from the parks and our weekly live show, head to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.
Planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. MEI-Travel is your trusted source for any vacation destination and our preferred partner. They offer free vacation planning services and have nearly 20 years of experience creating memorable vacations. If you book your vacation package or cruise between November 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024, they will donate to Travel Elevates, an organization that enriches communities through education and economic empowerment. Visit MEI-Travel.com/Main Street Magic for a fee-free, no-obligation quote today.
Hey everyone, Alan Stein Jr. here, keynote speaker, author, and Jeremy's one and only real-life older brother. Today I'm excited to turn the tables and take over the mic to interview our beloved hosts, Rhonda and Jeremy. They're stepping out from behind their usual roles to share stories, insights, and maybe even a few secrets as we explore their Disney journey from a whole new perspective. With my busy schedule, we thought it'd be fun to let my digital twin, Artificial Alan, join the conversation. Created entirely with artificial intelligence, he'll be helping us out today with the questions. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this special episode as we journey into the imagination and inspiration behind the voices of Main Street Magic.
Well, thanks, Alan.
Yes, thank you. So this, I thought this would be something different and fun to do. So if you've listened to all the episodes, then you've caught the Journey into Imagination series that I do every month with different content creators.
Oh.
With the
is it
insanity.
Bad? I haven't listened to any of them.
No, that's okay. You're busy. So with the insanity of the next 2 months for us, as far as travel, recording schedules, all of that stuff, I'm just not going to worry about doing a December Journey into Imagination.
Okay.
So I thought, you know what? Let's end it this year's series with us as the guests. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so I'm going to look at trying to revamp next year's Journey into Imagination and try and mix it up and find some new really cool guests and things that we haven't done before, and kind of change up the format. But I thought this would be a way to end it and to try and make this different than our normal Q&As that we do about once a quarter, where we just ask, listeners in social media and our Facebook community and all, ask us some questions and we'll answer them.
Right.
And we do that and we absolutely love it. And there's going to be a portion of that here. But instead, what we're going to do is the questions for this episode were curated and generated by both my brother and ChatGPT.
That's crazy.
Based on the knowledge and everything that ChatGPT has about Main Street Magic. So the questions that you'll hear are almost barely edited at all from what was given. And because I was able to put in the context for it to actually go out and learn about us and about Main Street Magic and to help ask the proper questions. And then along with my brother, who is one of the best interviewers that I've ever seen, is outstanding. I thought, let's get him involved. But as he mentioned with his busy schedule, thought it'd be cool to even involve artificial intelligence into the interview process. So what you're going to hear as far as the segments, because this is broken down into several segments, and the questions will actually be an artificial generated voice of my brother. Now, you can tell it is a little bit robotic in ways.
Yeah.
But as you're listening to it, and here's what is so insane about where everything is headed, and this is where I think you can use it for good, the way that we are. I had about 3 sentences that were required for my brother to read and record and send to me. So he did, and it's this made up 3 sentences that the software asked to read. Wow. And I uploaded it, and within 1 minute, it created a completely artificial voice for Alan that I could then put all the questions into and have him read them.
Wow.
And so that's what you're going to hear. So while it sounds a little bit robotic and computer generated, it's insane because the sound of the voice is his 100%.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts.
It is.
As far as the listener questions go, and this is going to be a 2-parter because this is going to be probably pretty lengthy.
Okay.
We're going to really get into it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think we'll probably learn stuff about each other. We'll learn stuff about the show. Our listeners will learn a heck of a lot more about us. So hopefully that'll be enjoyable. What we're going to do for the listener questions that we were given, there's a ton of good ones, and there's some that I think fit really good with the theme of this episode and the way that we're doing it, and then there's some that are really, really good for our standard Q&A episodes. So I'm going to take a couple of those. We're going to reserve them for a Q&A we'll probably do towards the end of the year or into the new year. And then what we're going to do with the remaining questions is you got to listen all the way to the end of the episode. You got to listen all the way to the outro music. And then we'll go ahead as a bonus. We're going to break up those questions into each episode.
Okay.
Sound fun? Sound good? Are you excited?
Yeah.
I think this will be cool.
Yeah.
So we have both had a look at these questions just so we know what's coming at us. But everything else from there, we're just going to go off the cuff. So let's kick it to my artificial brother from another mother, because he is from a computer, Artificial Alan.
First, let's talk about your personal Disney background. What is your earliest Disney memory, and how has it influenced your love for Disney today?
I think I would say mine is, and it's a foggy memory, but the water park that used to be
River Country.
Yes.
So you remember it?
I think I do.
Foggily.
Yeah. You know, being with my family and that being the water park we went to.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
I do also have not memory, but pictures of my parents going and then of course pictures of me too. But I think that's my earliest one.
Yeah. Mine's similar in the fogginess. Because and I've maybe mentioned this one before. I remember it more from the photos that my dad has for that whole trip, and then I actually got video of it in the past year. Was 1987. We went with really good family friends, and I don't know if I remember it from my actual memory, because I'd have been 7 years old,
right.
or just from the photos.
You could have remembered.
But,
they say after 5.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe I do actually remember it, but I definitely can picture the photo in my head, and it was all the kids standing with the yellow 3D glasses on, and a photo of us all just cheesing it up and smiling. And I do remember that, and I remember it. I have the videos of it now from going to Hoop De Doo Review, and them involving us in the show, because our family friend Jeff, who passed away within the same year from cancer, so that was the last trip he got to go on, and we all did that as a family and friends. And one of the people came out and kissed him on the head and sat on his lap, and his son, who's around my age, was so mad. I think he still is to this day. He's like, "That's my dad. My mom is sitting right next to him. That's messed up." And
Yeah,
that's what a 7-year-old
didn't
kid
she
was
leave?
thinking. Yeah, left lipstick on his head, and that was their thing. That's what they were doing. And I'm sure they don't do it now, because you'd probably get arrested or something, But yeah, so that was
and
kind of
COVID and all this stuff. But
so I think that was it for me.
Nice.
Was there a specific trip or moment when you both realized Disney was a passion you shared?
I think possibly for me was back way before we had kids, back when we were first married.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4 of us, me, you, your mom, and dad went to Disney.
Did we?
And I remember taking pictures, and I remember we had so much fun. And I think that's where, I mean, we were very, very freshly married.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a picture of your mom and I think holding like a big mini or something. Yeah. And I think that's when I realized, oh my gosh, like watching you with your parents and watching, the whole, and just being the four of us and not knowing you long, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we were married, but
right.
I mean, within a couple of years.
We had a very quick.
We did.
Begin to date, move everything to Florida and then get married.
Yep.
Was a very quick process. So.
And I think we were married, but I just remember that very specifically and watching you, and I'm like, okay, I think he likes this like I do. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, we'll see where it goes from here, in my opinion.
I vaguely remember doing that.
Really?
Or that trip. I don't even know whose decision that would have been. I mean, I went to Disney, 4 or 5 times growing up.
Right.
And my parents went, and my parents went without us. My parents were even older, and they went with, I don't know if you know this one time, one of my best friends in the world, Matt.
Yeah.
His parents one day called my parents and were like, hey, we're going to Disney this weekend. And I think like they had friends that had dropped out or something. They're like, do you want to go? And they went. And at that time, they were all like, I mean, they were.
Yeah.
We were probably teenagers or something when they did it.
I feel like I remember that story.
So I knew that they loved it and all, but
yeah.
I don't remember that trip coming about. I don't really remember anything about it. But yeah, that must have been it then. Mm-hmm. Because for me, I don't think I have a moment. And if I had to maybe pick a moment where I think I learned how much I loved Disney, and this will come up a lot of times, I'm sure, throughout these 2 episodes, is 18 months, Kaylin meeting Mickey, Fantasia Mickey for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's when I went, oh, I love this place. Like, this isn't just a place for kids. It's and while right now I'm experiencing it as a place for families, I love it as an adult. And then, and just starting to all of a sudden be like, all right, and then after that, every time a Florida deal popped up, we got it.
Yeah.
And we were going at least twice every 6 months with that deal. So 3 to 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when it just started to, and before I knew it, like I don't even remember getting annual passes and thinking, I love this place more than anything. To me, it made sense. Because the kids were getting a little bit older. We were starting to go more often.
Right. We
had friends that had annual passes. I think I was finally, especially coming down here and being in St. Augustine now, being a little bit closer.
Yeah.
I think all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's a part of our life now. So it makes sense to get annual passes. And then as soon as we did that, I just went nuts. And we've visited every single month since. And that was in December of 2015.
Wow.
So coming up on 9 years, being annual pass holders. I think next year would technically be the 10th year that we'll renew. Our decade. We should celebrate or something.
Oh my
right?
goodness. We
should celebrate?
What?
We should go to Disney.
Okay.
All right.
What Disney experience has had the most lasting impact on you both?
Well, I would almost pull that from the
Going back to the 18 months, Kaylin? Yeah.
I would say that.
Yep. I would say so too.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's like the easiest one. I can't think of another moment. Yeah. That had, and I feel, I mean, it's second child syndrome, I'm sure. Like I know we took Lacey at 18 months, but I don't remember those moments. You know what I mean?
I think the hard part with Lacey is she just did everything her sister did. So don't get me wrong. Yeah. She loved it. With Kaylin, she was
Kaylin's shadow when they were young.
She was. And with Kaylin and meeting Mickey, and if you're new to the podcast and you haven't listened to all 700.
First of all, what is wrong with you and what are you waiting for?
Okay.
Go catch up now.
But
then come back.
Seriously, the real quick, long story short is Kaylin started watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And we went to Disney at 18 months old. We stood in line to meet the character. And to me, it was like she saw this TV show character and now she is meeting him in real life. Mm-hmm. And she ran up to him, kissed him on the nose. It was the most amazing
It
thing.
was awesome.
Our parents were all there. Everybody was crying. And
again, if you go back, this was me at the time thinking 18 months is dumb to spend this amount of money to take a child on a vacation that they won't remember. But she was free. Yeah. But we had to spend all the money on us. And I thought that she won't remember, Mm-hmm. It was also your 30th that same year or same trip and all.
Yes.
And then remember seeing that and going, oh, I get it. Yep. This isn't about her. I mean, honestly, this is about us.
Right.
And that's why we've always said you go on 2 first trips with your kid. Yep. The first trip, when they're maybe under that age of 5, is the one that you remember.
Yes.
And then when you go on that second trip after 5, that's the one that they remember.
Yep.
Have both if you can.
Absolutely.
Don't, if you now, obviously, if it's a once in a lifetime or once every 10 year, once every 5 year type thing, you might be better off waiting, obviously, till they are older,
right?
Especially when they hit certain height requirements.
Correct.
So that you can get more value out of your spend. But other than that, don't just say, I'm not going to take my kid until they're 5 years old because they won't remember it if you have the means. Nate Bargatze has a great thing. He said they took their daughter to Disneyland when she was 2. And people were like, why would you do that? It's a waste. She's not going to remember it. He's like, what do you want me to do? Lock her in her closet until she starts remembering things? Like, and it's right. You can't come out until you start remembering. Like, no, you're not going to do that. So that trip is all about you. But yeah, that is definitely a lasting moment. I'm telling you, that's 2. Let's keep a count of
how many
Mickey
times?
Stories, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll see where it goes from there.
What's one Disney tradition you've started or want to start?
What? That?
You going to me?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
So we used to have one with the girls. I think it was a tradition, was our Disney First.
Okay.
And every time we went,
that.
It was every month, we made sure to have a Disney First.
Yeah.
That could be as major as the first time we ever got Lacey and Kaylin on Rock and Roller Coaster when we went with John and Michelle.
Yes.
Remember, their kids who were slightly younger than Lacey.
Yeah.
I think only by about 10 months or so. No, less than that even. They did Expedition Everest. And our girls were like, if they're doing it, we'll do it. So that was a Disney First.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as I remember Kaylin and I, because Lacey still hasn't ridden Rock and Roller Coaster, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So you and Lacey were sitting out. Kaylin was tall enough to ride. Her and I were riding it. We had ridden it before. But our Disney First, that trip it was the first time we were riding in the front row on Rock and Roller Coaster. And we got away from that. I think as the girls got older, as we did more, it was harder to find out. Like, you didn't want to get to a point where you're like, this is the first time I looked at that trash can. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't want it to be that minimal.
Right.
And so I think we got away from it some. It's something I would love to get back to with you and I.
We kind of have.
What I think I want to start.
I feel like.
We kind of have, yeah, because we're doing more, right?
Right.
I would like to start a tradition of us going as soon as we are able to go after Halloween to, even if it's just a day trip. And I know that last day trip Saturday was iffy because of Salt and Straw and whatever, but it turned out wonderful. I would love to do that yearly. Okay. Even if it's that, every single year on that, it could be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, technically with schedules and all, but it's usually going to be November 2nd, whatever it is. Let's go to Magic Kingdom. Let's see the Christmas decorations. Let's eat at Liberty Tree Tavern for lunch, and let's come home. Like, I would like to start that tradition.
Okay.
Because the tradition that I thought we were starting was to swap every year Thanksgiving and Christmas in the theme parks. And we did Thanksgiving with your family at Fort Wilderness.
Oh, yeah.
The following year, we did Christmas with the 4 of us at Disney.
That's right.
The following year, we did Thanksgiving, the 4 of us at Universal. Now this year, we're doing both at home.
Yeah.
So, I would like to, and that's still very much about the girls.
Yes.
They want to wake up in their own house on Christmas morning.
Do.
They want to get their stuff. They want to go show their friends. They want to, I get it. I can wait until later to start that tradition back. But
I feel
is there
like
something that you really...
I just started to say, I feel like one tradition we have is the Halloween party that we've started. So
that is a great one.
I would say that because I'll never forget, Michelle and John, we were going with them and they were like, you have to do the Halloween party. Yeah. It's so good. I love Christmas, but they were talking about all the Halloween. And I'm like, okay. And I'll never forget, I went and I was like, oh my God, I want to do this every year.
Yeah.
And we pretty much have.
Yeah, I mean, we missed the year of COVID. There was nothing.
Correct.
And then the next year was the Boo Bash, and we did
that. So I would say that's it. And praise God this year.
We got to continue
We
the
got to
tradition,
do it.
yeah, as much as yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and going back before we move on to the next question, way back, John was my original co-host on the show. If it were not for John and Michelle showing us the Disney ropes for that
100%.
first year or so,
Yep.
it would have probably taken us, if we had just done it on our own and not done so many trips with them and them showing us around because they knew it so well. John's been going since he was born, since it opened.
Yeah.
In 71 he was going. And we learned so much from them in that first year that I think it would have taken 4 to 5 years for us to learn on our own.
Well, and that's where it bloomed, Main Street Magic.
Yeah,
because we were going so much with them and we were learning so much, and then
our brains just kept filling with Disney knowledge.
Yep.
What's one Disney bucket list item you haven't done yet, but hope to someday?
Well, that for me is very easy, and I'll go ahead and rope it into any Disney park outside the United States.
Oh, okay.
Which means we need to probably start looking to get our
so
passport.
visit any Disney park outside of the United States.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely bucket list.
Yes.
For me. I think the most accessible bucket list item that we are looking at and working on potentially for 2025 is a VIP tour.
Okay.
We're looking at doing a group tour to make it more affordable.
Correct.
Notice I have to put the word more in front of affordable. It doesn't make it affordable. It just makes it more affordable. Right. And so I think that is like up there. One of the other ones up there, we're going to cross off our list at the end of the month, and we'll just leave it at there for now. And I think we made mention of it before, but we are doing something cool the weekend of Thanksgiving, the night after we see Josh Gad. So stay tuned for that one, and that will cross off a bucket list item for me.
Next up, let's chat about your podcast origins and inspirations. What inspired you to start Main Street Magic, and did you imagine it would become what it is today?
Well, I really feel like I have to completely kick this to Jeremy because I was never inspiration, and it never was.
Yeah.
And it was never on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what inspired you?
Well, I mean, as you were just mentioning, we're talking about John and Michelle and going so often and getting all that knowledge. Yeah, we started having a ton of knowledge. And, I know we've told this story before, but no matter what people are always going to ask for your information, right? I mean,
correct.
It doesn't matter what it is. Right now, if I want to know how to get motivated or how to get fit, I'm going to ask my brother.
Right.
If I want to know something about, even if it were to be, hey, I want to dye my hair at home, like I'm going to ask you. So obviously, as we knew more and more about Disney, as people learned we were going all the time, they started to ask us what to do.
Yes, they did.
It started with family. It moved to friends. It moved to just social media in general before we even started the podcast.
Yes.
That was, hey, we're going to Disney. What's the best place to stay? What's the best place to eat? What can you tell us? How do we do it? And since I'd already produced podcasts for about almost a decade for my brother, I was like, you know what? Do a podcast. And so the original podcast, actually, prior to John, was going to start with 2 other folks that fell through. And I'm just not going to name names. But it was supposed to start different, and it was like that never really came to fruition. I was like, I really want to do this. So then I asked John. It's like, we're going all the time, and a lot of those first episodes were trip reviews of our 2 families.
Yes.
And so I just thought, look, if we're already going to talk about it, I kind of need a passion project or a hobby. I was still working a regular in a cubicle full-time job, and commuting and everything. And so I was like, let's do this. If anything, it's fun.
Right.
If it becomes bigger, it could potentially be something that helps pay for our trips or becomes a write-off on our taxes or whatever it may be. So it kind of felt like a win-win. I didn't think of the future then, but
I feel like you always did.
If when, and we've told this little tidbit, the first ever episode recorded was between you and I. And it was not good. Couple reasons. One of them I've not shared. For you are a natural because you talk all day for a living. You converse with people. Like, honestly, I think you could go and take a hairdresser, a bartender, somebody who does nails maybe, and just be like, you should host a podcast. And they'd be like, perfect at it because you talk, you interact with people.
And that's so funny because I think you're natural and I'm not good at all. but
you are a natural. I have to think and put in work.
okay.
But the other thing that happened during that episode that we recorded, I was drunk. And I don't even know if you know this. I went back to edit it and listen to it. And I was like, not only is it just bad because the content was bad, I was like, I can't put this into the world. And so I didn't. And
I did not know that.
now I remember as soon as we were done recording, I actually do remember thinking, I don't know that was great. And then as I went back to edit and listen to it, I was like, yes, that was bad for many reasons. And those being, the reasons. And so then, sat on it for, I think, a little bit and then went to John and he was like, yeah, let's do it.
Well, and John had the knowledge of not only Disney World, he had knowledge of Disneyland.
Yep.
He had knowledge of DCL, Disney Cruise Line. And he
DVC.
He not only knowledge, but is a DVC member. So
he's also a brilliant business mind.
yes.
And so he understood the aspects, and obviously still does, of all things Disney in that manner. Also the fact that he had been doing it since day one. I think we pride ourselves because of how much we go and how much we do on being able to offer comparisons. We try and do that a lot. We'll say, we ate a burger here, but let's talk about where we've eaten other burgers and how it compares.
Right.
And John was wonderful at that because he could say, let's talk about this experience now and what it looked like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Right.
So that's where it started, was with that. And then, of course, the story goes, as John's schedule increasingly was bigger and he travels a lot for work and we couldn't really get together. And it was hard to piece together. And you said, look, you can't miss an episode. You got listeners. We had about 6 of them probably. But
Nuh-uh, you had more than that because you told me.
Not much more.
And I was like, people are expecting this.
And so I said, what are you going to do? Fill in? You said, yeah. And so we had 3 kind of hosts for a while. It was always me. And then we teeter-totter based on schedule, you and John. And then as he got busier, and honestly, as we got busier in going, we weren't going as the 2 families as much anymore.
Right.
So we weren't doing trip reviews. So all of a sudden it was like, well, do I want to come back and the 2 of us only talk about my trip? Does John want to come back and we only talk about his? So it kind of just, it turned out that way. But if day one, even that first recording, if you had said 7 years from now,
wow,
you will still be putting out episodes. In fact, you will have over 700 of them. I would have said you're an insane person.
And over how many downloads?
There's no way. We're nearing 3 million total. And what's incredible is it took 5 years to hit the first million. And so when you're able to look at growth of something, it just blows my mind that, what took 5 years is now usually taking around 12 to 14 months to do again. And so that's incredible. And that's because you guys keep listening for some reason. So hopefully you'll continue to.
Guys.
Yeah. So thank you. So that really is, that's what inspired it. And no, I did not think it would be this today. This is the longest running podcast I've ever been a part of.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I produced 2 very large podcasts, that had the likes of Mark Cuban's and Jay Billis and Kevin Durant's and Jason Tatum's and, Brad the biggest names in basketball I got to sit in rooms with. And those podcasts didn't last as long as this one. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
And thank you all for that. Like, seriously, because we wouldn't still be doing it.
Yes, correct.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in those early days of podcasting? And what is the biggest challenge in podcasting about Disney?
I would say the early days was trying to figure out when to record for us when it was completely.
It's still hard. Sometimes.
Sometimes,
bit
but
of a
ever since COVID, it's been easier. And then
we got more of a schedule.
Yeah, because I was working 5 days, sometimes 6 days a week.
Yes, you were.
So I think we always would record on a Wednesday because I would always on Wednesday and Friday try to work the girls' school hours.
Yeah, more of like a half day.
So, I think that to me was the biggest challenge for me because, again, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be part of it. I just was like, we need to keep doing this because you have listeners.
Right. So now let's find time to do it, which was extremely hard. I agree with that. The other
It
one
wasn't going. It wasn't.
right. Yeah. I mean, the other one was content, because we first started going. So it was like, what do we record on? We can't say, oh, you know what? Let's pull an episode on the top 10 burgers out because we hadn't eaten 10 burgers. You know what I mean? Or,
But see,
let's
that's
talk
on your
all
end.
about ranking moderate resorts. Well,
Right.
we hadn't stayed at them all. So content was really, really hard in the beginning. The biggest challenge today is finances.
Yeah.
I mean, that's any business.
100%.
If you handed us $1 million, the sky's the limit, obviously. But figuring out how to do that is probably the hardest part. That and still schedules, and balancing work-life balance is probably the hardest thing today about Disney podcasting, I think.
Okay.
What's been your favorite podcast episode so far and why?
I honestly think my favorite one is the one where we were just talking in Disney.
The 700th?
I think it was, yeah.
That was our 700th episode. I figured out how to walk around the parks with a system that we had and record to my phone and just turn on the mics and let it go. Yes, agreed.
Do you agree? Oh, okay.
Every milestone is one of my
Yeah.
favorites. I think it was 500 is my absolute favorite because we did a call in.
Okay. That one too.
And we had listeners and we had cast member friends
Yeah.
and family. Like we had so many people that called in and left us messages about the show that almost every one almost brought us to tears. We were so thankful and all. That one is my all-time favorite episode ever.
Yeah.
Second would be 700.
Yeah.
I liked episode 600, but it didn't come together the way I wanted. That was the one where we were on the Wish, and I bought that pocket recorder, and we were trying to talk to people and ask cast members and stuff like, what is your Disney wish? And it was a hard one to put together. We didn't get the content it was just hard, but every milestone episode I love. Beyond that, I love these. I love the Q&As because we can just be free.
Yes.
There's no research. There's really not notes. It's just us being us, and every episode is
Right.
But this one is truly just like we were to be sitting down with a friend,
Right.
Because all of you are.
Yes.
And you're just like, hey, what about Disney?
Yeah.
And I love those the most.
I agree.
How has podcasting changed the way you experience Disney parks?
Well,
More.
well, yeah, but I almost would use the word it sucks but it really truly doesn't. It's just funny because I don't feel like I can experience Disney parks anymore without working.
100%.
So
that's number one. That's how it's changed.
That's how it's changed.
Agreed.
It's not a bad thing, so don't get me wrong.
Right.
It is just so different, and that is what has changed from when we went with your parents.
Yes.
And when we went with my parents.
Yes.
And
There
when
was
we went
no
with the
ulterior
kids,
motive. There was no secondary anything. It was
nope. It was just,
you're
we
on
just
vacation
went,
having
right.
fun, and that's it. Now we're on vacation having fun working.
Correct.
And I think that's number one. Number two would be the fact though that it has forced us to do more. So as opposed to just getting comfortable and eating at the same places and doing the same things and making every trip almost the same because it's the things we love, we often try to step out of our comfort zone some to say, let's go to this place we haven't eaten, even if we don't really want to, or let's do this thing, or let's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's changed that, and that's all good. I mean, it makes this experience
right,
so
because
much
I just
more.
started to say if we weren't podcasting, we probably would not be trying all things Disney. And when I say that,
we wouldn't. We'd be vacationing other places, most likely. I think too.
Yeah.
But we have to look at a spend and what it costs, and then how that can maneuver into the business of the podcast. So yeah, I'd say that too.
Now it is time to share some favorite Disney memories and stories. Do you have a funny or unexpected story from a Disney trip that stands out?
Oh, that's a hard one.
What just immediately pops in my mind?
I'm like, do you have one that?
Yeah, immediately pops in my mind was when we got upgraded to Art of Animation.
Oh, that
and
was
we were going to stay in a Little Mermaid suite. It was the four of us going down. We still had the girls. There were still pass holders. And we got upgraded.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, Steve, thanks to Steve,
Yep.
our good friend Steve actually was in touch with the hotel, and he's like, hey, we see in the app, like there's an upgrade. We're like, what's up? Because we didn't get to check in until late. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we get upgraded to a car suite.
Yep.
and we're gonna be there 2 nights, and we're texting Kat and Michael, which we were doing every day back then. And Michael was working. We said, Kat, you should just come down, man. We got an extra bed. And so she literally booked the flight
sure did.
that night late for the next morning.
Yep.
She came down, and we hung out. She stayed the whole day and night. It was so much fun. We had a blast. That was when her and I and Kaylin closed the night, just hanging out in the lobby of the Riviera.
Yep.
People watching. We met Darby, who remains a social media cast member friend to this day. Like, that's where Ken actually served us espresso martinis, who now works in Bar Riva, and later we become good friends with him. Like, that specifically. But that wasn't the one that immediately popped in my head, but now I'm realizing it wasn't the same night, was when I fell out of the hammock. And you and Kat just about peed your pants laughing at me.
We really did.
I was,
it was
cold.
Freezing
I was
too.
freezing. And Kat had an extra sweatshirt or jacket or something. No, I put my arms in my shirt, in my
arms in your
t-shirt. That's right.
shirt.
I put my arms on my t-shirt, and we were running around Caribbean Beach. Yes, there was some drinking involved at the time. And I went to get in a hammock, and I flipped right out of the thing. And I look over, and you two are on the ground, like,
It was
laughing.
so
And I ended up going into the Caribbean Beach gift shop, and I think about it every time I wear this shirt. And I bought that long sleeve. It's kind of like a light bluish shirt, and it's got a tie-dye Mickey on it. And that's the shirt I bought that night to stay warm, because we're going to be outside a little bit more. But that's like one of the funniest moments I just remember. And it was funny because everybody was laughing at me, but like watching you two just lose it.
Oh my gosh,
was
it
hilarious.
So
Do you have something? And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be funny. It can just be unexpected. I mean, it could be like, a tree falling on you.
What?
That'd be pretty unexpected.
Well, yeah,
That has not happened.
I'm like, that hasn't happened.
Do you have something though? It's hard because
I know
we laugh a lot.
We do, and more recently. And I'm just trying to think of golly, over all the years,
Lots of unexpected, just. Pixie dust or magic.
Yeah, I just started to say. I think one of my unexpected that stands out is I think it was in the beginning, because there's just been so many, and I didn't know what pixie dust really was or stuff like that, and of course I've learned more over the years. But we were staying at All Star, correct? It was the one with me and the girls went to get desserts.
Alex, the
And
cast
you remember?
member.
Wow, you remember his name?
I already had in the back of my mind that this story would present itself at some point during the recording of these 2
It was
episodes.
so cool. We went and we were just talking, and we all got desserts, me and the girls, and he gave them to us and said, "This is on me." And it just was, I was like, oh my gosh.
I was watching a Duke game in the room.
Yeah.
And you guys come back with all these desserts. You're like, you won't believe what happened. And you and I had been down there prior, and Alex had checked us out. Mm-hmm. And so when you came back again, you were at the girls, and you told me this because you said, "Oh, hey, girls, it's my best friend, Alex."
Oh, yeah.
That's just who you are, right? You had just literally seen him probably 15, 20 minutes before. We went back to the room, and then said something, I don't know, the girls maybe were like, "Let's get dessert or something." I was like, "Well, I'm going to watch the game."
Right.
And so, so when you said, "Oh, it's my best friend, Alex," and he was like, "Those are on me."
Yep.
The other one that was very unexpected was the very first time we went to see Neil Patrick Harris. And we got the very unexpected upgrade to the executive suite at Coronado.
Yeah.
And then not only even more unexpected was Neil Patrick Harris tweeting back at me that night.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And very, very unexpected. I remember, and again, this is just so weird, the things that I remember. I was sitting on the couch because this thing had a living room. It had 2 full bedrooms. It had the bathroom was
so
nuts.
large.
Had like a giant separate, like almost clawfoot like tub, this big stand-up shower, king bed in that room, then a 2-queen bedroom. It had a dining
couch
table.
pulled out.
Yeah, it had a dining table that would easily seat like 10 people. It had kind of like a kitchenette area with this fancy Keurig, another half bath in the main room.
Yep.
All this. I'm sitting on the couch watching TV. You're actually on the phone with your mom.
Yeah.
And you were by the front door for some reason, kind of just walking around. And I remember
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
getting the reply in my notifications on
And
Twitter.
you freaked out.
And I just freaked out. It was awesome. Very unexpected.
Yeah.
What is the most surprising thing you've learned about each other through running Main Street Magic?
Do you have?
I've learned, even though you will never admit to it, you are a foodie. You will never say you are. Just
not.
because you weren't doesn't mean you aren't. Oh, that's pretty good. That could be used for so many things, right? No, but seriously. And I think other people can consider you one. And I say that because you know food now.
Okay.
Because I've made you eat so much of it over the years.
Yes, you have.
And so many different types.
Yeah.
And you enjoy food.
Yes.
think-
I've always enjoyed food.
But I think in your mind, you still think maybe like you would be okay just eating the same thing every day, you know, or having a routine.
Okay,
or
so here-
like the way I did growing up, you know, where every Friday was pizza night from Little Caesars. Every Sunday was steak night. Every other Sunday we got steak and we got shrimp. Every Wednesday morning was cinnamon rolls that came out of the Pillsbury tube. Like, that's what I grew up with. And I think in your mind, you think you'd be okay with that, but I think you love food more than you let on. You love the flavors. You love trying new things. You love, like...
I do.
I think you do.
I do.
You are a foodie, Rhonda.
But okay. But here's where I think I don't feel like I am. I grew up, my mom cooked and did all kinds of things.
As Southern cooking comes.
And not only that, but literally, like, she would try new things and I would try new things. But I have always not loved food to be like, oh my gosh, what are we eating? I feel like, and maybe my mommy could be like, no, you did. But
okay.
I've always in my life eat to live. I don't live to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where I feel like a foodie, like they live to eat. They enjoy, they get to, and I just, because sometimes I get tired of eating. I don't even want to eat, but I have to.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And because I'm actually thinking, okay, so like I struggle every day with like what I'm going to eat for lunch because I can't just throw turkey and cheese on bread and be done with it.
See, I can.
And you can. I'm like, what else can I add? Is there some sort of sauce or dressing? Oh, we have these crispy fried onions. Can I put it in a panini press? So, okay.
I'm literally just eating so I don't pass out and die.
That makes sense. I just learned something else about you while we're recording.
What?
The heck shirt is that? Where did that come from? I've never seen that shirt in my entire life. I don't even know what it is.
I think I held it up and showed you that Rita brought it back to me from Iceland.
Oh, I must have missed that. Okay. That makes sense now. I don't remember the visual. I remember you telling me about it, though.
I'm pretty sure I held it up and said, look what Rita brought me back from Iceland.
What was my response?
You might have said, oh, cool. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't paying any attention. Then if I said, cool, I wasn't paying any attention.
I figured.
It's been bothering me all morning. And all of a sudden, I just really got to look. And I was like, what is that? Have you learned anything about me doing this show other than I talk way too much on microphones and I don't talk enough in person?
Yeah.
Okay. I just had to let you know you learned that about me. I won't shut up on a microphone. But if you sit me and you, otherwise, I
come home every night
word,
and say, how was your day? Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been talking all day, so I'm like, all right, I don't need to talk. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, that's why I do it. I'm trying to help you out.
Right.
Anything else that you realized instead of me realizing it for you?
No, I mean, you're really good at what you do. I mean,
oh, thank you.
But I think I've always kind of known that.
Yeah. I've learned that about you, not through the podcast, but I mean, that's another thing I don't think you take enough credit for is that you have run a very extremely successful business for like 25 years now on your own the entire time, really. I mean, I know you started working for some other people and, you know, at like that razors, right? And then Scissors. Razors would have been a good name for it. That'd have been better for like a shaving. Scissors. And then, you know, you'd go on to like rent room and stuff, but you're a chemist. Like
I did have a client.
You know,
say that the other day.
seriously, like you're a chemist, you're a stylist, you're so many things. And so like, I've just watched over the time I've known you. Cause at first it's hard. You're like, oh, you cut hair. Okay. And now when I look at it, I'm like, holy moly. Like that's what I'm like Lacey, you know, cause I think she might follow in your footsteps. I'm very much like,
she should.
You should, you know, because your mother is very, very successful at what she does.
Well, and it was funny because one of my last clients last night, we were talking about like, what this is right here, the Chat GPT, and and robots.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you can't have a robot cut your hair. I mean,
Well,
no.
if dreams that are foreshadowed within the People Mover are true,
No,
one
that is
day
not
there may be
true.
a giant egg-like
No.
machine that plops upon your head and does all your hair for you.
No, there's no way.
That machine would most likely kill you.
Yes.
It probably would. No, it can't. I mean, and that's the scary part about a podcast is this might not be us right now. No, I'm kidding. This is actually us. But did I send you the thing? Okay. I don't want to scare people. So
It's very scary. I
Google
don't
had a
wanna know.
podcast, and the two hosts in both video and audio form were artificially intelligent created beings. And they had a podcast. Well, Google told the AI machine that these two people were AI. They didn't know it. And you can actually watch when two artificial people learn that they're artificial and they try to process and grasp the fact that they're not real and everything that they've said is not real and they're not humans. I'll have to remind me to show it to you after because I won't remember. It's both fascinating and horrifying.
Okay.
It's nuts. Does that have anything to do with the question?
I'm not sure.
Something else
This
you might
is-
learn about me is I go off topic a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Have there been any on-air disagreements about Disney opinions that you found hard to resolve?
I think
I would say no.
for me and you, no. Now maybe if like we had a guest, and I'm never gonna debate somebody.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
No, I've learned that over the years
yeah.
of being
Yeah.
a hairdresser.
Yeah. I can't think that you and I have had any on-air disagreements about Disney
Well-
opinions. We certainly had off-air, not so much about Disney opinions, but maybe about plans, about spending, about, you being like, Jeremy, I can't go to Disney 7 weekends in a row, or I will smother you in your sleep with the weighted blanket that the cast member suggested I do so with. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, we don't disagree or argue much at all
Yeah.
in general, you
Yeah.
know? And if we do, it's probably like most couples. It's usually about like finance,
Yeah.
maybe parenting, but it's not just
But
general,
even then,
like,
we're
arguments.
really good. Like,
We're very good.
I just have to
We always
remind
come to an
you,
agreement.
or we kind of, yeah.
Yep, we always,
Yeah.
I've learned to step away for moments.
Yeah.
Because I had to fix things immediately, and you could be ready to just fly off the handle, and I'd still be like, don't care, got to fix it now, just making things worse. Now I've learned, like, you know what, maybe I walk away for a few, let old redhead over here, let that kettle, maybe it's not going, woo. Maybe let it stop boiling for a bit.
What's been the most memorable or meaningful piece of feedback you've received from a listener?
I know there's some.
I read
sure to say,
every single review, and probably 99% of them, and only 1% is maybe I forget. 99% of them I screenshot and send to Rhonda.
Yes, you do. So that's where I'm trying to remember.
And 99% of them are 99% of them are meaningful.
Yeah.
The 1% usually that are more memorable are the negative ones. You're the guy who was so mad that you mentioned you were short.
Well, I was thinking you were going to go
Yeah.
with the one where I tried to kind of we were, I think, talking all.
Oh, the accent
The country
did not go
accent
over
or
well. Yeah, you did a
something?
country accent. That didn't go over well. We also had a review one time, and everybody has their right to things.
100%.
If you don't like hearing
try to
country
learn
accents,
from
stop
them.
learning. I mean, stop listening. I mean, seriously, like, that's fine. Like, we won't be. I'm not offended by anything. We try to learn from them. Like
Absolutely.
You said. One of them did say, "I don't like when you have your girls on. Please don't do that again."
Oh.
It's like, all right, I'm not gonna learn from that one because they're gonna come on. They're my children, and this is free. The best feedback I've ever received, I've told a million times, was from Lou Mangello. When I first got started, and it was still John and myself, and I was still producing for my brother and the Pure Sweat basketball show and all. And they sent me to Podfest in Orlando, and that's where Lou was speaking.
But he's not a listener.
No, as far as I know, he's not. maybe he'll start. But I'm saying, as far as general feedback, it was the best ever when he was like, quit editing every second of your show. Be yourself. And it was literally be yourself. Those 2 words. That
Be yourself. I think of them.
You a horse?
Oh,
Aladdin,
where he's a bee and he's like,
oh,
buzz, and he's like,
like, where did that come from?
Because when you were like, be yourself, all of a sudden,
there you go.
He popped
Now
into
I can
myself.
picture it. Yeah, you're talking animated Robin Williams genie version. Yes, I remember that very well now. No, it's a great one. Yeah. But that was the best piece of like feedback I think I've received. But I mean,
the best feedback and the most amazing, and I'm trying to specifically remember the one I'm thinking, but is every single one that somebody comes back and literally says we made their trip better.
Yeah.
I think the one was, it was something to do with us and Give Kids the World, and because of us doing it just, and I think it was their child, and I'm
a Wish kid.
I don't remember like 100%, but just anything like that, and I just was like, wow, we really are doing something good.
Yeah, and
so
it takes a lot for people to give feedback when it's good. Mm-hmm. People are much more inclined and willing to give negative feedback on something because they're mad. They want to be heard. They don't mind going, let me go to iTunes and let me pull up their podcast and let me find where to leave a review and let me crap. Like, they're okay with that because they're mad. They need to get it out.
Right.
A lot of times people could listen to something or go to a rest or whatever and be like, this was the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. And then they just go on, They don't go sit down at a computer.
Right.
They don't. So knowing that anybody would take the time to go into iTunes or go into social media or craft an email to take time out of their day to send us something that makes us smile is like, no matter what it is, it'd be the best. Somebody could leave a review that's 5 stars and says, you guys are great. And it's going to bring a smile to my face because those simple words mean a heck of a lot more because what it took them to get them to us. You know what I mean?
But I will say it was super funny when I was telling people about the bad feedback like you were talking about. And I'll never forget, somebody said, well, then you've made it. And I'm like, what?
When you get people that will leave you negative feedback,
but
I think you've reached a certain point in your career or your whatever. Yeah. And it's kind of a good feeling.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, this made me feel really good. And we're not trying to toot our own horn. We're just so thankful that we've been able to grow.
100%.
When I was in Chat GPT, and I sent this screenshot to you guys and Chuck and Amy, and I was doing some research because I wanted to see roughly about how many Disney podcasts there were in the world. And it listed a number that I think is extremely wrong and low. They said like 70, and there's no way it's that low. But in it said some of the popular ones are, and it listed Main Street Magic amongst 4 or 5 other of like the biggest Disney podcasts there are. And I know Chat GPT is going out and it's data mining, but still, somehow, our little show and name popped up in that.
Yay.
And that was super cool. And I was like, thank you for the feedback, Chat GPT.
Is there a Disney story or experience that you find yourself telling others time and time again?
Kaylin met Mickey at 18 months old, kissed him on the nose. We all cried.
I was not you.
I mean, that story has been in the newspaper.
Nah.
In Orlando for the 90th, for Mickey's 90th birthday.
Oh, that's right. Because you went on.
And Dwayne Bevel, who was one of the writers for the Orlando Centennial. Sorry. I don't know which one it is. Is it Sentinel or Centennial? It's Sentinel, I think. Anyway, I've been in that paper, I think 3 times now.
Wow.
One was about Mickey's 90th birthday, and I told that story, and it was printed. Second one was about the opening of Toy Story Land, and then I'm pretty sure I gave a quote for Galaxy's Edge as well. And that's just because I kind of struck up a little bit of an online friendship with Dwayne, and anytime he went out and asked, I immediately DM'd him, and most of the time he was nice enough to be like, yeah, let me give you a call. He was never like, I need other people. So I did get to do that, which...
Nice.
Which I thought was pretty cool, and I will tell that story forever and ever, along with the Alex giving y'all free desserts.
Yes.
What's do you have other ones? I mean, I just stole 2 really good ones.
You did.
So I had to try to get ahead of you on that answer.
I figured you were going to say that one. I'm trying to think. Probably some upgrades. And I mean, more recently was the Disney's Mickey.
We will tell the Mickey's Not So Scary.
Scary.
Getting those tickets. We will tell this story. Yeah, about the 2 canceled.
Yes.
You know, and getting it for the rest of our lives.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like those though. I think those are some pretty good ones. All right, so with that first set, that's about half of the segments.
Oh my goodness.
We're gonna go ahead and break.
Okay.
Make sure you stay tuned to the very, very end. You'll get some of those bonus questions from listener after our catchy little theme song tune. So don't forget to listen. Of course, make sure you subscribe so you can get the next episode. You get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And obviously, as we've just talked about, Rhonda and I would be super duper thankful if you could please take those few minutes to leave us a rating and review.
Because it really does help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Welcome to the bonus content. You guys made it. You stuck it through. You listened to the outro. You listen to the theme song, and now you're going to get some bonus questions answered from listeners. So we're doing this a little bit different because obviously this will break up into the 2 parts. So these will be bonus content on the end of both of the episodes. And then we got a lot of questions. Some of them we're going to reserve and we're going to hold on to for our next Q&A episode, which will probably be around year's end, maybe the start of the new year.
Okay.
And then there are some, so basically if anything did not get answered during this 2 bonus little contents, it will still be answered in the future.
Yeah.
We separated them a little bit because we felt that the ones we're going to answer now fit the theme and idea of this specific topic and all with this, journey into imagination and these kind of more, questions. And some of these are pretty deep. So that's how we're going to do it. So let's get right into it. Rhonda from Jennifer said, what is your daily or weekly routine schedule when you're home? How do you manage to juggle so much time away with managing your regular full-time jobs, parenting, and keeping up your home? You must be busy. How do you manage, Rhonda? Because you have to leave the house. I work here.
Yes. So our weekly routine is I leave the house Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for about over 12 hours each of those days. So I literally joke with my mommy when I talk to her on the way home, and when I'm saying bye Monday night, I'm like, well, I'm going to go shower to do this all over again. Yeah. So obviously I do that Monday, Tuesday.
Have you seen the new Capital One commercial? With
Where
the Capital One guy, where they're like so what do you like, what do you do when you leave here? And he's like, what do you mean? And then it shows him at night literally sleeping at Capital One. I think that's how Rhonda feels sometimes.
There has actually been a joke before about some type of something at the salon because
somebody could just sleep almost like at like a hospital, like where they would have for like doctors and nurses to
and shower
and on call room almost, except you would just be able to stay the night there. Yeah,
correct. Because there has been times where I've left really late and then I just have to be back super early, especially this time of year. I'll work people in, and I'll just especially we're going to be gone. So that's and then Thursday morning is our morning because both girls are in high school now. Both girls, one girl drives, another girl gets a ride from her best friend. We don't have to be up. So that is our time to sleep in. And when I say sleep in,
7:30,
7:45, maybe 8 o'clock.
Well, for you,
if my brain doesn't start working and go, well, you need to ask Kaylin this, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. So then I get up, and 90% of the Thursdays, if we're home, this is a schedule when we're home. We get Starbucks, and then depending, we'll go to Costco. We'll run some errands. We'll do a few things, and then we try to get that stuff done in the morning because then we're back here to record.
Yeah. And usually do a live stream on Thursday nights.
Yes.
So for example, we are recording on Thursday now. I canceled the live stream earlier today because we knew we just had a lot in store. I mean, it's almost 4 and we're finishing up. And then Lacey's got gymnastics Thursday night.
I have to cut Talon's hair today.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Lacey,
So
Kaylin
I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is very standard. I work from home, so I kind of have my own schedule of things that I do to get work done. I have a weekly checklist and to-do list that I go through for Main Street Magic, for my brother, for some other clients. Thursdays are usually, if we're not gone, Thursday is our day to do the things that adults need to do. Usually,
right.
Like you said, running errands. That's when we'll usually clean up the house. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually I do all of mine and Rhonda's laundry. So I do all the laundry,
yes, he does.
which helps her out very much in her schedule. The girls do their own laundry. So as far as house and family duties, that helps us out a ton because your clothes are the size of a child's clothes. So you can fit a lot of them in a wash. So it's a lot of folding, man. Like all these tiny little T-shirts and stuff. Half the time I hold something up and I'm like, there's no way her body fits in this thing. Like this looks like it came off a doll. So yeah, I mean, that's really our normal schedule, but we try to keep some of the routine things like the Thursday morning Starbucks.
Yeah.
We've gotten much better at trying to be home on Sundays and relaxing.
Yes.
And sitting on our new comfy couches and watching movies or whatever it may be. We have no dining routine.
Usually recording.
Yeah, we're usually recording on Sunday as well. Yeah, we don't have, the normal probably family dynamic and schedule.
Correct.
We don't eat meals together a lot. We're trying to be better about that if we can, but it's few and far between. You can get the 4 of us in a room together.
Yeah.
But we're trying more with that type of stuff, I think. So yeah, it's just finding a way to balance everything. And most of it couldn't be done if Rhonda didn't let me do what I do, which is work from home and do the things that I do, and I have to have a very specific task list to make sure I get through those things so that I can take on the other stuff, like making sure I do the laundry, making sure that, I try to make sure that the house is at least straightened up every night that you get home, even if it's folding blankets on the couch or, making sure that there aren't dishes in the sink or whatever, having the girls help me empty the dishwasher, like those types of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So like our routine and schedule is almost that there's not one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because that, like I said, that is when we're home. And then Fridays again will be what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Saturdays, sometimes when we're home, I go to work.
Yep. Most any Saturday we are home, you're working.
Yeah. And then we try to notch out some time to hang out with friends or whatever. And then, Sundays. So start
it all over again.
Yeah. And that's our routine.
Yeah. I will say, I think, though, that both of us are extremely fortunate in our lives and what we do that we don't get the Sunday scaries like so many people do. You wouldn't know what they are. You've never had them. But when you work a 9-to-5 job that you don't particularly love, there is nothing more daunting than a Sunday night thinking about the fact that you got to go sit in a cubicle for 40 hours over the next 5 days and do something you're not passionate about or love.
Yeah.
And that's why I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Because that potentially would have killed me if alcohol didn't. So let's move on to the next one from Andrew. It says, how do you balance the cost of Disney while reporting on it? We don't. My favorite meme ever says, what is it? Yeah, people think I'm rich because I go to Disney all the time. I'm not rich. I'm financially irresponsible. It's hard. Like we said before, and one of the answers was like, financing is the hardest thing about doing anything.
But I will say, Andrew, we have tried to balance more over the years as far as, and we've gotten better. And, we've just tried to balance
not buying alcoholic beverages, not only at home, but at Disney has saved us tremendous amounts of money. I mean, I know you got to think about when we talk about something like Liberty Tree Tavern that was $100 for the two of us to eat.
Yep.
That's, all you care to enjoy, family style meal with included beverage. Comes out to, was it $44 each minus, some pass holder, add some tip. You're looking at like $100 meal.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be easily a $200 meal because most likely we'd each have 2 cocktails.
Correct.
At $15 each. That's $60. You then got to add the additional tip. So that has really helped us balance and budget a lot better. And what I have actually tried to do, because so many times we were going on trips and it was really dependent on Rhonda, I mean, if you really want to throw things out there, as far as my paycheck goes, I'm living it. When the amount of money that I make comes in, it goes out to bills.
Right.
Right. And so we could not go to Disney without you, as well as.
But we couldn't live in this house without you.
Correct. We couldn't do a lot of things without the both of us.
We're a big old team.
But what I'm saying is what I've been able to do now is I've looked and gone, all right, we went to Disney this past weekend. We did not drink. We had this meal. We did this, and this. I can roughly say in my head, we would have spent $200 on alcohol. I try and take that $200 now and put it aside so that when we go, all of a sudden I can kind of surprise Ron and be like, hey, guess what? I got this room tonight. Or I'm paying for this meal in that sense. Because we keep separate bank accounts because we run businesses.
Right.
So to put everything together now it would be near impossible. We used to have a joint at one time and it gets way too hard.
It was never in a joint. It was an account that all your money went into, and I gave you some
and then you gave me money to put in it. But we had more of a set amount. It was like, hey, I need X for bills this month, and I took care of every last bill.
Yeah.
Now, much like we balance our roles on the podcast as co-hosts and what we do the same thing with our life and our finances, and as far as that goes, as Disney even. So sometimes it will come up now where we say, all right, here's something we're planning to do. Can we do it based on balancing, the cost of it and who is that coming from?
Yeah.
So that's basically how we try and work all those types of things. All right, we're going to move on to the next one, and we're going to go over to Christy. She says, how do you keep up with all new attractions, events, and updates at Disney parks, as well as how do you balance visiting Disney as a fan while also documenting it for your podcast?
Well, Jeremy, Christy, keeps up with all the new attractions, events, updates on Disney parks because of his social media and everything that he already does through his normal day job.
Yep.
That's how he does.
Yeah. So I
don't.
Every morning, one of the first things I do is I check Disney Parks blog to see if anything new has cropped up for the day.
Oh.
Beyond that, I am on social. If I'm awake, I'm on social.
Yeah.
Some ways that's very good because I stay very abreast of things and I know what's coming. It's also very bad because I do a lot of doom scrolling, which is awful. And I may need to. Here's the funny part, right? There are apps, there are things to help you with managing doom scrolling and social media. Do you know where you find them? In social media. Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of funny. It's like, well, I wouldn't have found you if I wasn't doom scrolling, but now you want me to get rid of it. So, but, so I'm constantly with that. And if I miss anything, I'm getting a text message. Most likely it's coming from, Chuck and Amy or, Chuck Marchetti or Rachel or Lucy or Gary or our group. We have a group chat with about, 8, 9 of us, all in it. And, with Liv and Tay and Steph and all these folks. And so a lot of times things will either come through that. It makes me laugh because I don't want to be a jerk about it, but it's so funny. Somebody sometimes a week or two later, they'll send me something, be like, oh, hey man, did you know they're doing this? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I look at that as part of the job. So that's where I get it all from. And then I fill Rhonda in on it, either through episodes, through me just telling her. I text you a lot of things, screenshots, but I try to do. I'm not going to send you an article because you're not going to read it.
Nope.
So I know to pull out the most important information.
Yep.
Send you an image and pull out whatever's important by text.
Yeah.
And then when we do our live streams, that is actually a time for Rhonda to catch up on all Disney park news, updates, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. How do you balance work and play?
I don't know. I mean, it's both. It's always, I don't know.
I actually think you saying it's both is correct because they're now one and the same, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It used to be they were very different, and we didn't know how to balance them.
Yeah.
We were either working or we were playing.
That's true.
Now we're playing while we work, and we're having fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that, the way we balance it is by understanding that they're the exact same thing now.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because you could tell me right now, Jeremy, we're going to, tomorrow we're going to go to Disney. I'm surprising you. I booked a night at Coronado Springs. We're going to go to 3 Bridges. We're going to shut everything off. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And mostly because I'm like, we're experiencing this and people expect to hear about it. Therefore, I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a negative light. I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that makes me feel better than going, that's a good looking dish. I'm going to take a photo of that. Like, I enjoy it, actually. So I don't even look at it anymore as work-life balance. I look at it as just life.
Right.
I feel like I could do something with that. That was almost,
I agree.
You can tell that I work for my brother, the real one, not the artificial one. But yeah, because that is exactly the type of stuff that he talks about.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much from him. So anything you hear, from aspects that sound like what I just said, I've learned from my brother. So, nice. And that's another one. I don't think we said during the regular thing, if you want to go back and look at it, 100%, we would not be here without the listeners.
Right.
100%. We also would not be here without my brother.
Right.
So, and I try to tell him that we're not on, we're not on that lovey-dovey level. We're closer than we've ever been, and we're best friends. But, it's not that like I love you level or anything. But I will say, I probably don't tell him enough that, we wouldn't have this show if it weren't for him.
Right.
Now I can create an artificial one, so we might not need him anymore. We'll see. We did artificial Alan video at one point. I don't remember if I showed it to you. And it was really at the height of AI video. Yeah, it was really weird. Some of the videos, you literally could not tell the difference between real Alan and artificial Alan. So much that we abandoned the idea because it was very early in the AI stages of that use that it was confusing people.
Oh my goodness.
So we're like, I don't think it's working. People aren't ready for that yet. Yeah. So we stopped. Kelsey asks, do you guys ever see yourselves moving to Orlando permanently to have Disney in your backyard? As someone who dreams of doing this, would love to hear your thoughts. It sounds like such a fun episode, and like this one. I just kept reading it, and I included the whole thing. But she meant like, this episode sounds fun. I hope it was for you, Kelsey.
I hope it was.
Have we discussed that? What do you think your thoughts are on that one?
We haven't discussed it like, how do you say it? Like,
there's
for reals?
There's no 5 to 10 year plan.
No.
Let's say that.
But there is been talk about it.
100%.
So I don't know what else to say. I'm like,
yes, we have. And again, finances, put that aside. We'll be at a point, it would not be before both girls have moved out of the house.
Oh, 100%.
And we know they're staying out of the house.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they're like me, there's no guarantee.
Right.
They might become knocking back on the door one day like, I screwed up. I kind of need a place to sleep again. But once we know that they are on their own and doing whatever that may be, we'll have a very big decision to make of do we sell this house, which we're very fortunate. We've been in this house for 11 years and we would do very, very well, especially years from now. We could make the move. I don't think it would be hard to sell this home and make the move. It will be the decision then of what is still here for us in St. Augustine. Where are the girls? But I believe for Main Street Magic to truly get to the level that I do dream of, we have to live in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So that will be a conversation that we will have most likely when they leave is this our retirement plan? Really?
Right.
Which would definitely have us moving to Orlando. If you asked me a couple years ago, I said, there's no chance I want to live in Orlando.
Right.
Now, as I get to know more people there, as I get to see the community, I could do it. I think I could.
Okay.
Like obviously not in the city or anything. We'd find like a little suburb area. We'd have to decide, are we going to go into a condo? Are we going to get a single family dwelling again and do so there'd be a lot of conversations, but they've started. Yeah. Kelsey, if you move to Orlando, something you dream of doing, listen, you only live once. YOLO. Yep. Move to Orlando, Kelsey. That will sum up the bonus questions for this episode. If you want the remainder, if you did not get yours heard, just make sure you tune in next time. And if we don't answer it then, we will on our next Q&A episode.